Welcome to Recently Logged, where this week, evolution becomes revolution.
Oh, those crazy apes.
Those crazy apes.
What are they up to now?
Wow. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Here we are.
Welcome to Recently Logged.
Oh, no. My name is Robbie.
And I'm Micah.
And together we talk about apes.
We make it a movie.
We make the movies. Yes. Yeah, this week we're starting. We've taken a short break over the past, week, 2 weeks. I don't remember how long it's been.
I think it's just been a week.
Yeah, I think it's just been a week.
We took last week off due to schedule.
But today we're coming back and we're starting another series of episodes covering a franchise, or in this case, just a trilogy of films.
Yeah, I think this is the first trilogy or series we've done this season.
Yes, this will be the first one of season 4. Which it feels weird that we're in season 4. That's
right.
Weird.
I mean, we've been doing this for almost 4 years.
I thought of this like season 3 part 2 and not season 4, you know?
But yeah, we're starting the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
The new one.
The new one.
The newer one, anyway.
The newer, well, I mean, it's the newest.
I mean, I guess they are the newest at the moment. But the 2011 onward.
16?
I think it's 2016, yeah, was the last one. But yeah, that series of films, we are going to be covering them, starting with, obviously, the first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Not Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, mind you.
It's so confusing.
Of the Planet of the Apes.
Wouldn't you think the dawn would be first, and then it's like the apes are dawning?
They dawn,
and then they rise. But no.
And then they war. But no, it's rise,
they rise,
then they dawn,
then the dawn.
Then they war.
Confusing.
Though I guess, I'll get into that next week.
But yes, before we get into our thoughts on the movie, we're going to go over some basic facts so you guys know what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah. All right. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is a 2011 movie rated PG-13. It's an hour and 45 minutes. Its little IMDb description is, a substance designed to help the brain repair itself gives advanced intelligence to a chimpanzee who leads an ape uprising. It was nominated for 1 Oscar for, as you may have guessed, Best Achievement in Visual Effects or whatever.
I would hope so, yeah.
It stars James Franco, Andy Serkis, Freida Pinto, maybe?
Yes.
Karen Knovel as Maurice.
Heck yeah. Maurice is the MVP of the franchise so far. So.
It's directed by Rupert Wyatt.
Yes.
Written by Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver. Based on a book by Pierre. You're in French, Ruby. What's that last name?
Pierre Boulet.
Boulet.
Yes, that's how I would assume you say that. Also, cinematographer Andrew Lindsay, I believe is how you say it. He shot the Lord of the Rings franchise.
Oh, cool.
Fun fact.
I feel like I know.
And a bunch of other Peter Jackson films.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like I know the composer too. Patrick Doyle.
Yeah, Patrick Doyle.
He's worked on some Marvel movies, yeah. I guess.
I was about to say, I mostly know him because of his Marvel work, like for Thor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he did the Hamlet one, Hamlet score.
He's done a lot of Branagh movies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which, I mean, the Thor movies are.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I was like, wait a minute. But yes.
So that is Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
I'm assuming it was always meant to be a trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't imagine they just made Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
No, they made this and they were like, yeah, that's it, buddy.
They were like, I better hope this performs well, otherwise you're not getting another one. But yeah, so it's the first in the trilogy, and we're about to talk about it. Here we go.
I have found unfortunate news in between our break there.
What? Okay.
Unfortunately, the writers who wrote this movie also wrote the live-action Mulan, and I don't know how.
If the live-action Mulan, he even had an ounce of the humanity that is written into the character of Caesar in this.
Dude, the brotherhood and everything that comes out with these movies, and Caesar as a character, even though he barely talks.
Good stuff, my man.
How did they write Mulan?
How did they do it?
Just blame Disney.
Yes. I mean, that's what I always do whenever a problem arises.
Dang it, Disney.
I just blame Disney.
But yeah, let's get into what are we talking about? What are we saying?
We're talking about Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Micah.
Oh yeah, but what are we saying?
A very good movie.
What are you saying about Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
I am saying that we just finished watching it mere minutes ago for the second time. I don't know. Did you watch it again without me or something?
No.
Okay. So we both watched it for the second time, and I didn't enjoy it quite as much on the second time around, but that probably has something to do with the fact that I was, working on the podcast stuff while we were watching it.
Didn't give it your full attention?
I didn't. And I felt I should acknowledge that before I continue. But on the whole, I think this is a great movie. It's one of the better action blockbusters of like its era, I would say.
For sure.
I'm really am missing, especially lately, I'm really missing like the late 2000s, early 2010s blockbuster era. There's so many just like really good films in there.
That was, Ravi, you know what happened after that hurt
What?
the blockbuster forever.
What?
See, in 2012, a little ditty known as The Avengers dropped.
Oh no.
And that forever changed the blockbuster landscape.
Of course it did. But yes, very good movie. I don't know. What is there to say about Rise of the Planet of the Apes? Really?
Well, we're doing basic facts here, so you sum up. Tell the audience, wax poetically.
It is a surprisingly human action movie about monkeys.
About a monk.
Although I should say it's about apes, not monkeys.
Yeah, right. It's kind of a thing.
Sorry.
Don't call them monkeys.
But I don't know. I mean, it has a pretty great cast. Andy Serkis, pretty obviously. I mean, I feel like most people who have seen him in this know that he's kind of great. Like I don't understand how he did it, honestly.
It almost is hard to register in my mind that Caesar is not just a real being.
Right? Yeah, I was about to say the CGI looks amazing somehow. Like obviously not all of it,
yeah,
but the models themselves look great. Like even by today's standards.
Again, another thing of the early 2010 blockbuster.
It's just like insanely good 3D models for all the apes.
Back before the MCU was rushing all VFX.
But yeah, gosh, I don't know. Like, what is there to say about it, really? I mean, it's just like a solid example of action filmmaking. It does a great job setting up its emotional stakes and just overall like global stakes. It's just a really good movie.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree in a lot of factors to that. I really, really enjoy this movie. It's interesting, like you said, on a second time around. It's not that I didn't. I liked it about the same. I rated it the same.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I guess with seeing the second one already, it kind of like was reframed a bit,
mm-hmm.
and it reminds
Absolutely.
me of a lot of the things that I like so much, specifically about like the latter half of this movie and the first half of the second movie.
Yeah.
Like really just the good Caesar content. Because like literally I would take an entire just like tons of movies just like Caesar hanging out and like starting revolutions or something. It makes me sad that there isn't like more than just these three movies.
Yeah.
But this movie itself is really, really effective at delivering kind of like the small stakes to rise up towards the end. It doesn't really lose my interest at any point. The beginning is a little slow,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but outside of that, especially once Caesar gets sent off to the what would you call that, like shelter?
I guess it's more of a nursery, I guess. I don't know.
I have no idea what you'd call that. Once he gets sent there, that's when the movie like kicks into high gear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the James Franco stuff and all of the human character work works really well, which is a rare thing for a movie like this.
All right.
So I don't know. I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, that actually is a good note. That's really my biggest complaint here, I think, is the first, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of the movie. I'm a little like, okay, when is this going to get going? But it has a lot it has to set up in, like I said, in its emotional stakes, and it's just like global stakes. But yeah,
it's like the beginning of Rio.
Rio, but epic. Is that what this is?
Yes.
Wow.
All right. Well, I rated it 4 stars out of 5.
I also rated it 4 stars out of 5.
Cool.
We're just in complete agreement, Micah.
Amazing. We've mind melded over this.
Mind meld.
All right. So, do we want to get into some questions to kick off? Really diving in.
Yes, do it, Micah.
Well, I was more saying, like, do you have a question?
Okay. Yes, I do. What is your favorite character in this? Because I think its character writing is really like one of its biggest strengths, just as a movie.
I mean, my favorite character is Caesar. I don't think that's hard. I mean, he's an extremely well written character, but he's the main character. He's the main focus. We stick with him more than any other character.
Yeah.
But the way it kind of takes his character and the way it kind of uses from like young Caesar, like from when he was first born, to when he hits like the adult stage, which they change models for, because I don't think the previous model actually really uses Andy Serkis's face at all. I think it only happens once he becomes like adult Caesar. And even just the transition from like his more like ape-like features to his more human-esque feel as he gets like older and everything feels really natural and like perfectly blends with how his character grows throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite side character then, because obviously Caesar's. I mean, like.
Okay, but like favorite real side character or just favorite side character? My favorite side character is Maurice.
Okay, good. Yeah,
but Maurice has no real characterization in this one. Maurice isn't really a character until the second one. True. I just like Maurice.
I was about to say, when we watched this the first time, we were like, it's Maurice.
We were like, hey. Maurice.
But yeah, on the note of Caesar as a character, though, it's kind of insanely impressive, like the way they weave his not only emotional arc, but just intelligence arc throughout this entire movie. Like, the way he grows to be more critical of the world that he was like conditioned to as he grew up. Yeah. As the movie goes on.
Not only that, but just the way that his thinking adapts in general feels so natural in progression from like the initial like attack on the street with what's his face, and then like as he grows and like gets more, and like his plans as the movie goes on are like get really complicated. Yeah. And like it's really like he like just good ideas and good leadership things, and it's really like insane because they pretty much never talk. Right. Except for a couple moments, which I'll get to those moments. And when they do the sign language stuff between him and Maurice. And like for no talking apes and most of the like all of them just like I don't know, the way it gets you into the story and you feel for all of them.
It's the apes together strong thing.
The apes together strong. Like it's insane how like understated almost it is what this movie accomplishes through its second act especially.
Yeah, and I mean once it's done with its first act establishing all of its world and ideas and everything like that, you mentioned how good it was at raising the stakes throughout the story, and it is. Like, that's really the biggest testament to it as an action blockbuster is it's just really good at raising its stakes.
Yeah. Though I still find it funny, like, what it leads to in the next movie in terms of, like, big overarching story.
Right.
But no, the bridge finale is such a good finale. It's not too much, but it's not like it's such a good culmination of both Caesar's leadership and just the action of the movie.
Right. My goodness. Delicious. I dare say.
Do you have, to kind of lead off of some of the thoughts I was having with this, do you have a favorite scene or sequence? Because I have a favorite scene.
Oh, man. Well, okay, what's yours then? Because I haven't picked one out yet.
My favorite scene, and like it's given me chills like both times I've watched it, is when Tom Felton's character is like fighting with Caesar in the cage with like, and he says something for the first time. Like that's like I was just like both times, even though I didn't know it was coming in the first one, but the second time I watched it, I was like,
bro, it's so good.
It's such a good moment.
Yeah,
Like,
I was probably gonna say the like prison break sequence.
yeah,
but that scene in particular is great.
It's from that, and then like the rest of it is like
Yeah.
the rest of the prison break, and it's such a good like little montage and such a good mini arc complete.
Right?
To finish off the second act.
They make Tom Felton so hateable in this.
Right, he literally does nothing but play hateable character.
Apparently. But yeah, no, that I was gonna say like the prison break, but I wasn't sure if I was like forgetting some absolutely amazing thing that you had stumbled upon.
I mean, I really like the bridge scene too, and
Yeah,
even the scenes after the bridge, like in the woods. That's a really good scene.
That is a really good scene.
And there are just so many really good like small character moments. Even the scene where Caesar is up in the tree and like James Franco and company are down there.
James Franco.
And he's like, just, I don't know, just the way this movie delivers so much, usually not by the human characters. Like it's all like pretty much all of the meat of the movie is not from James Franco.
Right. I was about to say the arc James Franco's character has with like his dad and everything in this is pretty compelling, actually.
No, yeah, it is.
And played pretty well and written pretty well, but yeah, I don't know. It just it seems to pale in comparison.
Well, what's interesting about it is I don't think it pales in comparison.
Well,
I think it
yeah.
works really well in terms of what it's doing, because I think it plays into the arc of like, quite frankly, he was willing to do whatever it took to do the tests and run everything through. And he found, like, he grew to the point where he was like, no, this is ridiculous. We're rushing this. We're hurting people. We're destroying stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very nice arc that played into Caesar's arc.
I was about to say the movie kind of over the course of the entire runtime just kind of tries to switch all of the dynamics it establishes in Act 1, essentially.
Which is cool, but again, unfortunately, I don't know what it is, but like Act 1 just isn't as engaging as it should be. Because like on paper I'm like, yeah, this is really neat. This is cool. I like this. But at the same time it's just not like
watching it, it just feels tedious watching, and I'm not sure why. I wish I could point to like an exact reason why.
I have another like favorite moment too from so it's when the apes are running through the city and one of the like, I guess he's like just an animal control guy, catches one of the apes and throws him in the back of the van.
Dude,
and then like a spear throws down and stabs through the car, and he looks up, and then like all of the apes like rise up and Caesar grabs it. It's so sick. I love this movie.
Anytime it goes like full on action mode, it's like, for some reason it's like the most epic thing of all time,
right? Like this movie is unnecessarily epic in all the good ways.
8-year-olds everywhere would adore this movie, Micah. I mean, hopefully other people would enjoy it too. I enjoy it, and I'm not 8 years old.
I enjoy it
as far as I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's just a lot of really great moments, and I think that's just because Caesar's really the heart of this movie. So any good character moment with Caesar feels like massive, you know?
Yeah. And like I said, the way just the entire movie plays with Caesar's character in general. And I actually wanted to mention this too, on the topic. What do you think of the introduction of Koba in this?
What do you mean?
Like just him as a character presented in this.
I mean, it sets up a pretty, like, even if all we saw of Koba was in this, it's still a pretty nice little, like, payoff to all of the suffering that he's gone through, you know? Like, he gets his own moment at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know, as Koba as a character, he doesn't really have, he's in, like, 2 scenes in this.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't really give us anything much other than just, like, Koba's backstory and then like a tiny payoff at the end on the bridge.
I just think Koba's character, especially on the second one, is such a commanding presence.
Right? Yeah.
And I think that's really like impressive how well they do that with so little.
I was about to say, even before watching the second one, because me and Mike have only seen the first one and the second one. Before watching the sequel, Koba feels so menacing in this. And it's interesting because that dynamic kind of gets subverted in the second one. Even though he does become like the antagonist of the movie, you're like, oh, well, he's not all bad, you know, like he's not just like some angry,
sympathetic guy.
I was about to say they write him in a very sympathetic way in the second one, but he does feel very menacing in this.
Yeah, I just thought it was like another character of note by how much just presence he has in the movie.
It's so odd, like it's just really bizarre to me that all of the apes feel so distinct in all of the movies,
right? like it's crazy. I mean, I know the character models look different, and they all are motion capture, so they have like people's faces behind them.
Yeah, I was about to say, obviously they'll have tiny different mannerisms.
But like Ape rolls up in the second movie, and I'm like, oh, I know this guy. I know everything about him.
Right?
I know what he wants, who he's like. I'm like, yes, I know this ape. It's insane.
It's just, I think that's honestly been the most impressive thing about this franchise so far.
Which, I mean, that's kind of what it's been hailed for as a series, is its VFX and how well it uses them.
It's just so, it's so crazy. How are they doing this back in 2014?
Dude, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, think about when they released.
That's true.
Those movies look better than, like, movies have in, like, a decade.
Dead Man's Chest is, like, unprecedented level of just, like, insanely good VFX that are, like, pretty much just seamless.
Here, and it came out
so good. If you haven't seen Dead Man's Chest, go watch it.
Yeah, and that came out in 2006.
Wow.
That's what I thought. I was like, I think that's early 2000s that's series
crazy,
was.
Man. But yeah, no, it's good stuff.
Again, a funny thing happened in the MCU, in which they found out that if they rushed VFX teams, nobody cared.
Set a new precedent, Micah. Not a good precedent.
Not a good precedent.
I don't know what else. What is there to really talk about Rise?
Do you have any more questions? Because we haven't dove into it like that much in terms of just like plot and structure and everything.
I don't know. Like man, I'm trying to think of something because like I've mentioned the problems I have with the structure and the screenplay and all that. I'm not really sure what else to mention.
Well, I think that's actually something to mention. Something of note is, and I was about to actually say this because I just thought of it. The movie is kind of like deceptively simple,
right?
It's so, and I think that's part of what makes it so effective, is that really there's not much going on. There's just it's got its two threads. Caesar thread, Franco Fred, Franco thread, and they both kind of run together theme wise. It's a very up and down plot, and it just like it works seamlessly, except for a little bit of like things that I find boring or something. But as a story structure, it's really kind of impressive how simple it is.
I actually am recalling now, actually, because I did a
help me recall
screenplay like course studying some screenplays, and they actually used Rise of the Planet of the Apes as one of their examples. And I'm like, it's interesting because this feels like almost like a kid's movie screenplay in a way, because it's just so
it's
like cut and dry. Like it's like here's Caesar, James Franco. They both have very clear arcs, and there's like a very clear bad guy.
There's a very clear break in each act.
Yeah, very clear break in each act. It raises its stakes very clearly. It's not a very subtle screenplay, but it packs a good punch. Like you said, its simplicity is really kind of a strong factor of how well the movie operates,
Which is actually one thing I'm kind of disappointed in the second movie, but we'll get into that when we talk about it.
Yes.
But no, yeah, I don't know quite what else to talk about with it,
Right.
because like that's really all there is. There's fantastic
Mm-hmm.
performances. I think all of the cast does a really good job, not even just the mocap cast.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the action is really impressive, and it looks really good. There's great physicality to the action, despite the
Absolutely,
fact
yeah.
that most of it's done with CG creatures.
It's so crazy. They, like you said, they have such a physical presence in the movie. It's kind of bizarre, really.
No, and except for in a couple scenes, because there are a couple scenes where it's noticeable that they're just like CGI.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still not the greatest
not
in this
perfect,
movie. I
yeah.
think in the next movie it looks like almost completely seamless.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do when I get to war, Mecca. It's gonna be
But
crazy.
like watching this movie, you really do like forget that like these aren't just creatures that
Right.
exist.
It's crazy.
Like from their physicality on the fight scenes to their presence with the actual human actors on screen.
Yeah.
Like that shot where Caesar at the very end leans in and whispers into Franco's ear. The presence of him is there. You're not like, oh wow, look at this, something is leaning in front of it. You're like, yeah, somebody is like there.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that actually is a really good note, though. The cinematography in this is outstanding. Just from that side, anyway, like integrating it technically with the mocap, CGI, that sort of stuff. It's pretty breathtaking.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting because, again, I feel like the cinematography in this movie is rather simple, rather plain.
It is, yeah. It's
But
functional.
but I do think the cinematography gets a lot better in the next one.
It is, yeah. I was about to say the general shooting of it is, I think, a much better in the second one.
Yeah. Anyway, do you have any more comments to add?
No, I'm actually pretty satisfied. That's actually my, like, pretty much all of my thoughts I have about this movie. It's like you said, it's a pretty cut and dry,
Yeah.
simple movie, but it's very good at what it does.
Yeah, simple does not mean bad in this case.
Exactly.
Very much not. Because I think, honestly, one of its biggest follies it could have done, like one of the things it could have fallen into the easiest, if you will, Robbie,
You're like 70 years old.
is overcomplicating the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Especially as a trilogy, and it's very clearly made as a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
To make this one be overcomplicated and not just cut and dry, get to where Caesar needs to be,
Right.
and get to where we need to be emotionally with all of the characters. I think it could have really been a muddled start for the trilogy.
Yeah, I was about to say it does a surprisingly good job as just a standalone movie, but it also works as a really good jumping off point with all of its world building and character stuff for the second one.
Which again is one of the reasons I like talking about like series on the podcast, is because I do like actually talking about how they relate as a series. And I think this, as a very simple start, is very, very effective.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And again, we haven't watched War yet. We're gonna try and watch that sometime soon.
Yeah.
At Goodwill, I bought the Blu-rays for these, and it was like a Blu-ray pack, but I'm guessing it came out like after Dawn released, so it was just the first two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really my thoughts. Again, I rated it 4 out of 5.
As did I.
Very good movie.
Yeah.
A little not perfect.
Not perfect.
Not as effective as it could be, but still an extremely fun, extremely enduring, insanely impressive on a technical level movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead, and now that we have discussed the ape movie, Micah, the first ape movie,
the original ape movie, right?
The OG ape. We need to watch the old Planet of the Apes.
No, I don't want to watch the old Planet of the Apes movies.
You think it'll taint your vision?
Okay, so I don't want to watch the really old ones because they look bad, and I don't want to watch the Tim Burton one because of Mark Wahlberg, and it also looks bad.
Oh, that's true. That is true. That's a valid reason to not want to watch the Tim Burton one, honestly. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into our next segment.
All right, we're going to be moving into our What We Watched segment. For those of you who are new to the podcast or have just never listened this far before, because this is like our shortest episode ever.
That's not true.
The What We Watched segment is just a brief little thing at the end where we talk about everything that we have watched movie-wise since the last episode. So we're going all the way back to the 25th
of April
of April
of 2022.
of 2022. And we're going to talk about all the movies we've watched since then.
Yes.
Starting us off with...
Leon the Professional on the 25th.
Leon the Professional.
1994 film.
Luc Besson.
Yes.
I don't know if he's actually French.
Natalie Portman's first role. And the first role I have liked Gary Oldman in.
Dude, Gary Oldman is outstanding.
He's kind of killing it here.
I gave it 4 stars. It's a weird movie. I think the more you look into the movie, the worse it gets. But as a movie, if you block out everything else about it, it's very enjoyable.
I was about to say...
It has great action, great tension, great performances.
Absolutely, yeah. I honestly cannot believe how young Natalie Portman is here.
Dude, okay, so Gary Oldman is giving, like, the performance of his career, and
right?
Natalie Portman at age 13 is matching.
It's kind of bizarre, really. But yeah, if you can separate art from the artist in this case, and just enjoy Leon the Professional as a film, a work of film, then I think it's fantastic. It's one of the better action movies of the 90s. Great performances, outstanding direction. I don't know, what else is there to say, really? It's just a really solid film.
Yeah, no, like, it's well made, but I still... yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of icky the more you dwell upon it. But on its own merits, great stuff. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And then on the 26th, I watched Swan Song for the first time.
We watched Swan Song.
Well, I was going to say for the first time, but you watched it for the second time with me. So.
Which, shout out to Swan Song.
Shout out to Swan Song.
Mahershala Ali's first lead.
Yeah.
And it was outstanding. He needs to be casted more.
Right.
I love him so much. This is a great movie. I can't believe people don't like this that much.
Right?
It's got a decent
It has a generally positive reception, but I think it's like, I don't know. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I think it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, whereas most people I know are like, wow, that was cute.
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to say, most people seem to think it kind of under-delivers on its premise and is just vaguely uninteresting most of its runtime, which I don't find that to be true.
I think it connects really extremely well emotionally. I think it's really well paced. I think it looks beautiful. I think Mahershala Ali gives an outstanding performance.
Right.
And again, like the way that it plays off, and I never, like, with its sci-fi concept, I never, like, question the fact that, like, so it uses its realism feeling that it goes for very well.
No, absolutely. I think its strongest elements are really how grounded it is emotionally and how great the performances are here. Even Awkwafina's good in this.
Right? A rare win for Awkwafina.
Although whenever Awkwafina is given a serious role, I feel like she's actually pretty good.
She needs to be exclusively cast in dramas.
Yes, that's really the real lesson here.
I give it 4.5 stars.
I give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's... I honestly don't think there's any huge substantial problems with it.
I cried.
Of course you cried, Micah. Who didn't cry?
Then on the 29th, we watched Family Guy Presents Blue Harvest.
Yes. For those unaware, I think I actually started sometime after last week, or like the last episode we did. I started watching Family Guy like a lot. So I ended up watching like all of the specials along with it. And Micah joined me for this.
This is about what I would expect from a Family Guy parody special.
Yeah, I don't know. It was... There's
some funny jokes.
Yeah.
There's some decent, like, fun stuff in terms of, like, satirizing. Sure.
Much easier to say.
Star Wars. And, like, but, like, not all of it works super well. There was a lot of jokes that didn't land in this more so than I think in a normal episode of Family Guy.
Yeah, no, I think it's like B-tier Family Guy. And like it's all right. It's pretty fun.
It was fine. It was there. Yeah, I give it 3 stars.
I gave it a 3.5. I I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Then also on the 29th, we watched The Age of Innocence.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese.
Another Scorsese down. I don't know, down what? I don't have a good metaphor.
And I guess this is down the hatch.
Down the hatch.
I guess this is my second
sense.
hot take, because I thought this movie was like practically perfect in every way, and amazing.
It is very
and
good.
Extremely effective. And it's like, I mean, it's a Martin Scorsese movie. It's got like a high average and everything, but most people I know are like, yeah, this is really good, but it's not like top tier Martin Scorsese or anything.
I don't think it's top tier, but I think it's like not S tier, it's A tier, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
That kind of.
I think it's technically like on a technical level, I should say, like on a technical level, one of the most impressive and together and dense movies I've ever seen.
It's incredibly dense, man.
And I think it uses that almost suffocating denseness to a really effective effect for me emotionally, because I got really emotionally connected to the story. And I think that's what a lot of people, from what I've read from other people's like reviews and stuff, didn't get from the movie.
Yeah, I felt the suffocation, just not the connection to really any of the characters all that much, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, the suffocation is supposed to get you into like the mindset of the romance.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're being,
no, I get that. Like on a brain level, I'm like, yes, that makes sense.
But no, I don't know. I really connected to it.
I'm looking forward to rewatching it, honestly.
Daniel Day-Lewis gave a great performance.
Shout
out
always,
to him.
Yeah. We watched it on his birthday, actually.
Yeah, we did.
That was the whole idea.
Winona Ryder is kind of laughably not in the movie much. I really
funny.
thought she'd be in it more. But no, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars.
I gave it a 4.5. Great stuff. The more I watch of Scorsese, the more I'm like, wow, he's a good director.
He might be a good director or something. Then on that night of the 29th, we watched Now You See Me.
Now You See Me.
2013.
Yeah.
Oof.
Jesse Eisenberg.
You know, I would want to do an episode on this. I think we should file this under movies. I think there's a lot to talk about.
That's funny.
This is something.
It is something.
I don't think it's a good something, but there is a lot of that something.
This feels like a Black Eyed Peas movie. Does that make any sense?
No, I'm following here.
Like I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought, again, a lot of people are like, oh, it acts like it's smarter than it is. But I don't even think it thinks it's smart. I think it's just like, it's the Razzle Dazzle song from Chicago.
Right. Dude, it's so weird. Like, I saw this used in a video essay as an example of how not to do a plot twist. And that's...
No, the plot twist
honestly,
is terrible.
Like, you know, rest of the movie aside, it's just like one of the most laughably terrible plot twists of all time.
It's so... I really don't like it on a plot level.
Yeah, no, it's just... the performances aren't terrible by any stretch, but they're not really good either. The direction's pretty generic at best.
Remember when it like sets them up as the main characters of the movie, giving you very like close first person introductions to all of their characters, and then we jump like 5 years ahead and have no idea what they're doing and get played as them being not the main characters.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I hated that so much.
You know, there's so much wrong with it on a technical level, but it's not unwatchable.
No, I gave it 2.5.
I gave it a 3.
It's like
it's
the razzle dazzle.
It's bizarre.
Works.
Yeah, no, on a certain level it works. Whenever you try and think about it critically, it just kind of makes me want to die.
It falls to mush.
Yeah.
It's oof. Anyway. On the 30th, I watched The Thing again.
The Thing again?
No, just The Thing
just
again.
The Thing.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
I still love watching it. The 4K that I bought for it. So nice.
4K, baby.
Great movie. One of my favorite horror movies.
It's great.
I gave it 5 out of 5.
Nice.
Then on the 1st, I watched Dreams by Akira Kurosawa. It was a first watch for me, and I absolutely adored it.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
It's really... It's really my kind of movie. Like just thinking about it, I'm like, why did I adore this? And I'm like, you know why you adored this.
You know why.
It's beautiful, gorgeous, atmospheric, extremely like dreamlike, if you will.
A film that's beautiful and gorgeous. Unprecedented.
I gave it a 5 out of 5 and actually put it in my top 4 favorites.
Nice. Very nice indeed.
Then I went and watched Everything Everywhere All at Once again in theaters with my
Ayo.
girlfriend.
Ayo.
Which unfortunately she wasn't a huge fan of.
Aw.
But it's not really like, I forgot that she didn't like absurdist comedy at all.
Aw.
Which it's very much an absurdist comedy.
Aw.
Which made me sad, but like it is what it is. I can understand. And I gave it a 4.5. I thought about dropping it a little bit lower because on a rewatch, some things in the first act, it didn't work as well for me.
The first act is its weakest part.
But it's still like very effective at delivering its message, and I love its message, so I gave it 4.5 still.
Very good. On May 2nd, I watched Family Guy Presents Something 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 Dark Side. A little weaker than the first one. I don't know. They did a whole trilogy of Star Wars parodies, and this is the one for Empire. And I think since it's the best movie, they kind of ran out of material for stuff to mock pretty fast. So a lot of the jokes feel kind of just like 5-year-olds observations about the movie.
Yeah.
But it was still fun enough. I gave it 3.5. I think it's a smidge worse than the first one, but not by much. And then on the 3rd, May 3rd, we watched Oculus.
Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, my man.
Which I'll say with most Mike Flanagan early stuff that I've seen so far. It's kind of like I think he's a great director. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of understated, but yet shown really well in his early work how good of a director he is by how much he's working with how little he has. Because there's really not much to this movie. Just like there wasn't really much with Hush, I think was what the movie was called.
Hush is the other one we've seen of his.
I think they're both like extremely simple premises and ideas and really effective and engaging pull-offs of movies.
Yeah, absolutely. What to say about Oculus? I mean, it really is a testament to just how good Mike Flanagan's horror sensibilities are in his direction. He's just got a good grasp on the genre. I don't know. It was pretty good. I'm surprised the child actors were as good in this as they are.
Yeah, right. I really love the way that it weaves its two like past and present plot lines and kind of has them like mixed together in the kind of cool mind stuff they do with this movie. Like it almost feels like the movie in the way it's being presented is the way that like the story is like actually happening. Mm-hmm. Like the movie itself is like I don't know, it's a weird thing with
I was about to say the fact that Mike Flanagan was the editor in this too is interesting because it would be so complex, like not even just from a writing perspective but trying to edit all this.
Because didn't he write too? This feels like
I'm pretty sure
this feels like a Mike Flanagan screenplay.
Feels like it.
Yeah, he was on there,
writer and editor,
with the guy who wrote a lot of his early work with him.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, so like again, it's like all Mike Flanagan stuff in terms of like writing, editing, directing, and it feels very much like that, and it feels very simple. This is based off of a short film that he did at the very beginning of his career.
Yeah.
But it's really effective and entertaining, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, there you go. So did I. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. Good stuff.
And then on the 3rd, I watched Family Guy Presents It's a Trap. It's the Return of the Jedi one. I think a smidge better than the Empire one, but, you know, I think they're all about the same, really. I also gave it a 3.5.
Okay.
And then after that, I forgot I watched something else that day. I watched the 2022 film Master. Very good stuff. It was an Amazon original from this year. It was pretty good. I don't know. Another solid horror movie under my belt. Apparently, I think a bit better of it than most people. It has a 3.0 average on here. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's got a really solid screenplay in its critiques of like American institutions, racism, that sort of stuff. But a lot of its horror elements kind of feel half-baked. So But I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty great. I give it a 4 out of 5.
Nice. And then on the 4th, I watched the entire original trilogy for Star Wars.
Got 'em.
I won't talk about them too much. I very much enjoy Star Wars, but I hadn't been happy with my ratings for Star Wars for a while, and I hadn't seen them, like, these movies in a while, and it was May 4th, so why not?
Why not?
My biggest hot take is that I guess it's a hot take. Is that A New Hope is the worst, and like out of the original trilogy, not out of all of Star Wars.
I was about to say that's a bit.
A New Hope is the worst of the original trilogy, and it feels completely like it was not together at all, just spitballing towards a good idea. Which there's a lot of really good elements in it. Don't get me wrong,
Indeed,
but like
there are.
especially on a writing and structural level, I think it's kind of a mess. But I still really enjoy it. I give it 3.5.
But it's our mess, Mike.
I gave Empire Strikes Back 4.5, and I gave Return of the Jedi 4.5. Empire still has problems, Rebby, especially in its structure and pacing.
I watched Return of the Jedi with him, and I gave it a 4.5. I actually upped it a bit. I did like it and admire what it was doing a lot more.
On Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is my favorite.
I've always liked Return of the Jedi. It's just it had always been my least favorite of the original trilogy. I just was a little bored for a lot of its runtime. Most of the time I watched it, but I liked it this time. 4.5. Good stuff.
Then the next day I watched. On the 5th, I finished up Moon Knight.
I have yet to finish it.
I think I give it a 3.5, but then I lowered it to a 3, and I'm still thinking about giving it a 3.5. I don't know. It's a very weird series. It's almost entirely carried by its really good performances from its leads.
Yeah, pretty much entirely from what I've seen.
But I don't know. It's fun, but it's just not very good.
Pretty much entirely carried by how great the Moon Knight's costume is.
Ooh, the Moon Knight costume. Also on the 5th, I watched The Quick and the Dead.
Ayo.
Fantastic movie.
Great film.
Very, very good.
One of my favorite, probably my favorite Western.
Yeah,
one of my favorite
One of my favorite Westerns. It might be my favorite Western. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Then on the 6th, I watched Mikey and Nicky for the first time.
Mikey and Nicky.
I bought the Criterion for it.
Nice.
Very, very cool movie. Insane how like enduring it is on a realism level. Shout out to Peter Falk. The entire movie is literally just about how great of a guy Peter Falk is.
Nice. I can get down with a movie like that.
I gave it 5 stars.
Good.
Then what did we watch, Ravi?
On the 6th, we went out to the theater and we watched new Marvel film, like a Doctor Strange in the multiverse of
madness.
I thought it was and the multiverse of madness. Apparently, it's in the multiverse of madness. Interesting. But anyway, it was new Marvel movie sequel to Doctor Strange, directed by Sam Raimi, which I'm a big fan of.
And it was pretty good.
It was great. I thought it was great.
Pretty good.
Definitely A tier MCU if we're talking franchise wide stuff here.
Yeah, I just wish it was made in the early MCU because then I know it would have it wouldn't have had a lot of the elements that I think really bring it down.
Yeah, I don't think it's fully together on a writing level, but Sam Raimi's direction's a lot of fun in this. The performances are really good.
Again, one of the biggest praises I've heard for the movie is just that it did something that especially later phase MCU movies don't really do, and it was just have a simple, straightforward plot that allows you to get really into a lot of the stuff, have a lot of fun with it, really enjoy actually what's going on, and also just have a good ending, which very few MCU movies recently have had.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. It's a very refreshing movie amongst the Marvel crowd as of late because what do we have? We have like Black Widow, Eternals, Moon Knight. Those are like the recent ones, and this is just leagues better than those in my mind anyway.
I gave it 3.5. It still feels pretty flat in a lot of ways to me, especially on a visual level, which made me sad.
Oh, come on. The cinematography was
the cinematography is good. That's not what feels flat about it.
Okay. I was about to say, this is like the best cinematography in the MCU, Micah. You're not going to find better stuff. It's so kinetic.
What'd you rate it?
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
And then on the 6th as well, we watched Stay.
Stay.
A Mark Forster movie.
Yes.
Weird director. But I really, really loved what the movie was doing. It's got Ewan McGregor, Ryan Gosling, and that's enough for me.
Wow.
No, yeah, I think it's a very interesting and unique movie, while also feeling a little overdone.
Yeah. No, I mentioned in my review that this like niche genre of film where it's meant to be very disorienting and like kind of I don't know how to say it.
Abstract.
Yeah,
is really
more
the
abstract.
best way to put it.
It becomes very irritating very fast if it's not going anywhere. And this is the best job I've seen of that, but it still suffers from that a little to me.
I think that's one of its biggest problems.
Yeah.
But I really, really was engaged for most of it. And I love, I don't know, I really love kind of disorienting, abstract, unexplained storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think this does a really good job with its storytelling. Which again is usually where a lot of these, because again, if they become uninteresting, they become insufferable.
Yeah, I was about to say they're like the most annoying movies to watch.
But I think keeping this a thriller helped a lot with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the performances. It was fun.
Yeah, I mentioned in my review some good visual ideas here that are executed pretty well, and a lot more involving emotionally than I expected. Good
And
stuff.
I gave it a 4.5.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a lot of fun. Good fun.
Then on the 7th, I watched Drag Me to Hell.
Heyo.
Sam Raimi horror movie.
Looking forward to that.
Weird movie. I don't know. It wasn't what I was expecting, unfortunately. It wasn't as good as I was hoping. It wasn't as funny as I was hoping. It wasn't as scary as I was hoping. But I think maybe the expectations were just too high. Because it still is funny. It still is goofy. It still is interesting. It still has fun elements. Like, I don't know. It's still a good movie. It just was not nearly on the level I was hoping it was. And it wasn't even on the quality level that I had, like, set in my mind from Sam Raimi. And
well, to be fair, the Spider-Man trilogy is really great.
well, yeah, but like I have
And
out
the
of,
Quick and the
out
Dead
of
is
Sam
great,
Raimi that
too.
I've seen, Spider-Man trilogy, Quick and the Dead, and Multiverse of Madness, which is not a lot, but I think all
That
of
sets
those,
a high bar, you know.
Like, I think Multiverse of Madness is the worst of those, but I like this being not a Marvel, like an MCU movie. I was hoping it would be more like on the quality level of the Spider-Man trilogy or Quick and the Dead, and I just don't think it was anywhere near there. It
Darn.
felt more MCU-ish.
MCU.
Not that it feels like an MCU
I was about
movie,
to say what,
but just in terms of quality, it leaned more towards MCU Sam Raimi than like Evil Dead Sam Raimi, I guess.
I see. Well, I'm still looking forward to it, Micah.
Yeah, no, it's still fun. I gave it 3.5.
There you go.
Then on the 8th, I watched The King's Daughter.
The King's Daughter. I
was-
caught like the last 20 minutes of it.
It was shot in 2014 and it came out this year.
Oh man.
It was not good, but it would have been at home in 2014.
It's kind of like from what I saw of it, it just does not get like the basics of filmmaking,
No, it
like
really
on a
doesn't.
cinematic language level, and it's just really like boring because of it.
Yeah, even on even from like TV show filmmaking,
Uh-huh.
this thing would just not know what it's doing on an editing and
It did
cinematography
not
level.
know what shot it wanted to use for anything, dude. Come on.
And beyond that, the story is kind of stupid and doesn't make much sense, and the performances really aren't that great, and it's just not good. I gave it 1.5.
Yeah.
Then on the 8th, we watched
Cyrano, the new one,
the new one,
2021.
Peter Dinklage.
Joe Wright. Yeah.
It was
It's Cyrano.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it really. The two leads, Peter Dinklage and Haley Bennett, are
they
great
kill
here.
it. They kill it.
Honestly, when this movie just lets them just sit down and talk, that's like a 4.5 star movie.
Yeah,
the rest
no.
of it, like
literally, that's what I was saying. Like, anytime there would be like a really good conversation between two characters, they'd be going at it. It would be engaging. The performances would be shining. Peter Dinklage is like one of my favorite actors out there. And like then, for those of you who don't know, this is a musical.
It's a musical.
And
I don't know
all
why
of its
it's a
musical numbers suck. Like, not even like they're not even the worst things you've ever seen as musical numbers.
I was about to say there's like one or two that are actually pretty solid.
But they feel so hollowed because they just feel slapped on.
Yeah.
B, they have no place to be here. They have no reason. They have nothing. They're adding
They
nothing.
don't add anything.
It's really awkward every time one of them comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it really detracts from everything that I was enjoying about the movie.
Right. Yeah, no, I think, honestly, remove the musical element from this and it would shoot up maybe a whole star or a half
I was
star.
about to say, I'd probably give it a 4 if it was just, like, as solid as it is in those certain moments when it just doesn't have anything else going on.
The final scene in this is so good until they start singing.
Dude, I'm like, I laughed when they started singing at the end because they were actually delivering, like, outstanding performances.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Like, I was, like, locked in, and then they started singing, and I was like, oh.
Right? I think I'm irrationally attracted to Haley Bennett, like an irrational amount of attraction to Haley Bennett in this movie.
It's kind of weird.
She looks so good here.
She does.
Not to mention
good.
She's killing the acting game.
No, she's again. The leads' performances are just outstanding.
Maybe it's not irrational,
but it still makes me really sad.
Yeah.
But that one action scene in the alley just made me want there to be like a Peter Dinklage like pirate movie or something.
Like the editing was really bad in that.
No, it was terrible editing. It wasn't that. It was just I just want like Peter Dinklage like fencing and swinging from stuff. The editing was terrible in that scene.
But yeah, Cyrano, fun movie, not perfect by any stretch. I gave it a 3.5.
I gave it a 3.
There you go.
And then we watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes mere
this morning,
hours ago.
It was like an hour ago.
But yeah, that's what we watched. I think we might have spent either equal or more time talking about what we watched.
Probably more. I think it was more.
Rise. But that's okay.
That's fine.
we watched a lot. We took a week break.
I'll come to terms with that. But thank you for joining us. We'll catch you in the next episode. I'm not sure if we're going to go straight into Dawn or if we're going to try and slot something in between. But
yeah, we'll probably have like a break, like something else, and then this. That's what we've done typically with our series, but we don't know. We don't plan that much.
Right. We don't plan at all, really.
But go watch some good movies. Go watch The Age of Innocence.
Yeah.
Go watch The Quick and the Dead.
Absolutely.
Dreams.
I'm trying to think of a good recommendation. Swan Song.
Mikey and Nikki.
Yeah.
Go watch good movies.
Go do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it right now.